Okay, who are you? Tell me something about yourself. Tell me everything about yourself. Tell me a little about yourself. Who are you?
So I'm Sophia. I'm English. I grew up in the UK. I was heading along an academic track. I did a degree, a master's, a PhD, and I got a postdoc research position. I was kind of going along this track. Mm-hmm. And then I stumbled into this thing called the Grinberg Method. Some friend told me, oh, you should try this. It's amazing. And I sort of immediately fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And I've decided to switch professions. So at the moment I'm training in this, and it's actually a 3-year training, which is kind of hands-on. Like you get to work with people right from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And I'm near the end of that now. So that's in some ways who I am.
Yeah. And one of the things that I'm wondering about too, with your academic background, was it a type of discipline in which, I don't know, I mean, were you studying, deep economics, was your background in sociology? Was it in something that was so focused on the head that when you were introduced to the Grinberg method that you just kind of knew that I had to sort of make a transition to focus more on your body?
Basically that's the exact summary. Like I was doing history of science, actually. I started off doing science, and then I ended up doing history of science. Yeah, and I found it interesting. I liked it, but I would have the sensation when I was in the colloquiums, the seminars, it felt like everybody existed only from here up, and there was so much in this world, and it was fascinating for them, but they didn't exist as a whole person, and I found this weird already. And then there was also a way in which me, who I was then, was what it meant for me being an academic was very much like closing myself in and focusing very hard and shutting out the world. And when I started to kind of open this, it turned out like, oh, actually, I really love interacting with people very closely and working with people, and I'm just scared of it. So for a long time I shut it down. But there's a fear in interaction with people. It's just naturally there. And so I realized or you can say it another way, the thing that you love, normally it comes with being afraid of it, or being afraid that it won't work, or being, so then I realized, oh, actually, this is something that like makes me feel a lot more alive, gives me a lot more energy.
Yeah. And the thing is, though, I mean, it doesn't sort of like, mean that, you stop being an intellectual. It doesn't mean that you stop having an interest in these particular topics. But, I've come a similar path in that I was doing a computer science PhD. Uh-huh. And I just had to put it to one side because I just kind of felt like I was contracting more as opposed to, expanding and expanding in such a way that other people's humanity could be seen and acknowledged. And then also, I just felt that I was also like contracting away from nature. Mm-hmm. So I'm always really curious to hear about, other people's, journey. Because I think what could be interesting is who knows what could happen in the future. Maybe you might be the person who can bring this particular methodology to people like academics to help them to, be in touch, with their mind, and also in touch with their body. Who knows? Yeah. Who knows what the future could hold?
This is what I was kind of seeing if it might be possible before I decided definitely to leave academia. There's actually a lot of work on like embodiment, performativity, words like this. Yeah. That's how we perceive the world as bodies, and there's people like engaging with this now, and realizing, oh, for a long time we've decided that there's a mind-body divide. Maybe that's a crazy idea, actually. Maybe we just are one thing. So people are looking at this, and I thought, okay, maybe this is promising. I'll try and engage with this. But it felt like all of this research was being written kind of from from the head. If I say it now, yeah. Like when now that I've spent nearly 3 years of like learning to really be a body, you could say, or like to have a lot more attention for the body, to like feel what's happening. It's clear like that the way that these people were writing inside academia just kind of missed the point. So it would be interesting at some point later to manage to write in a way that connects with those people and brings what I've learned now back.
I can't wait to see that myself, because I find, that this whole area just really, really, really interesting. So I've got to ask, for a person who has no idea, what the Grinberg method is, how would you describe it to them? What is it?
There's a bunch of different ways of describing it. It depends what the person's interested in. Like at the very core, it's a methodology of attention. Like it's a way of working with the body, with touch, which makes it seem similar to massage. But it's all about teaching someone to have actually more attention for their body. And this is just like a door that you can open to do many things with. So you could teach someone how they become stressed. You could teach someone to actually notice on a bodily level what that means.
Yeah.
Because the only reason it can happen is because someone doesn't really notice it. They know I'm stressed and they know, maybe I get that shoulder pain, but they don't really feel what's happening. And if you really feel this that's happening, I'm way exaggerating, but then it's possible to change it, and then it's possible to do something with it. So this is one key thing that it's about.
So it's almost like it's helping people to have an even greater awareness of body awareness, a more minute body awareness, because like you said, okay, yes, I'm stressed, but at the point in which you realize that you're stressed, your body and mind has already been through several other micro, for lack of a better word, micro actions that have led up to that particular recognition. Whereas maybe if you were able to pay more attention to your body, you might be able to recognize some of the things that trigger you, so that you can avoid being stressed, so that you can avoid being in pain.
Yeah. So what you're saying is kind of getting on to the next step, which is, why at all would anybody want to have attention for their body? And this is exactly when if a situation is happening that's causing someone to suffer, and then what we're really using this attention for is to identify this something that keeps happening for someone. It can be all different things. It could be stress. It could be becoming insecure. It could be going into a really heavy mood. It could be constantly trying to work out what other people think of me. But it could be many things that we do. And if this is causing someone to suffer, or to just be limited and not to be fully themselves, then you use this attention to notice on a body level what's happening in that experience. And then this is like a kind of, it's like a doorway to change the experience. It's like someone's getting stuck in this loop of thoughts, of a mood, of something.
Yeah.
And then you work out, but what happens in the body then? And you really go teach someone this experience. And then if someone really knows this experience, they can stop it. And then this gives someone the power to completely change the experience. This is just really neat, because it's very direct. It's like doing a short circuit, because all of the thoughts that would normally happen in this time, you can try and reason with someone, but it's still there. But if you just notice, but you're really contracting your shoulders and doing this thing with your forehead and holding your head really tight and contracting your diaphragm, and stop this, the whole thing just changes.
Wow. That's really, 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 because, as I mentioned before, I work with a lot of people who are freelancers, they're free agents, they're independent types of some sort, and I often work at coffee houses or, various co-working spaces, and I'm a huge people watcher, so often I'm watching other people, and I'm watching their stress reaction. I'm watching, the way that they are chewing on a pencil. I'm watching the way that they're bashing the keys on their keyboard. And I just find it really, really, really interesting because, sometimes, we'll have conversations and I'll say, well, when was the last time that you had a massage? And it's just like, massage? I'm too busy to have a massage. Or, when was, the last time that you did some light stretching or went to the gym? I'm too busy. And, I have these conversations with them, and it just is one of those things that just further, reinforces how far away people are from a relationship with their body. And then also this, sense that, there's not enough time, and because there's not enough time, or I have a perception that there's not enough time, it's almost like the body gets pushed to one side. And how can I put this? It's almost a case of, if I don't get enough sleep, I can always have more caffeine to use my mind to convince my body to just keep going. And I guess one of the things that I'd like to hear you comment on is, for the freelancer, for the free agent, for the independent types who say, I don't, what's the benefit in me paying attention to my body? What would you say to something like that?
I mean, one point is really obvious. It's like you actually are a body. Like, I just find this is the most convincing argument, because we became very smart as human people. We're amazing with our minds. We've developed them really highly. We can do many things. Yeah, we can convince ourselves we're not tired, even though we actually are. But the point is, we are still bodies, and we can tend to view them today like really separate. Like,
yeah,
it's an image that I should present to other people, or it's like a machine that I need to use, and I need to put caffeine in to make it produce results, and it's like as if it's a machine. But there's other ways that people know that they are a body, like when you're nervous and you feel butterflies in your belly, or when you realize you did something wrong and you get this sinking feeling, or your knees go a bit weak.
But it's almost as if it's only when those things actually physically occur that people are reminded that I am a body. That this is where I live, as opposed to, because I see it all the time, especially living in a place like London where, people are just like, they're moving so fast, and there is this, like, at least, from my vantage point, a disconnect. And I find it all really, really, really interesting. And, I'm really glad that you said, well, the point is that you are a body. And I think, one of the things that I want to do is I want to help people to take better care of themselves. And I think that you just kind of, gave me a really easy point. It's just to say, but look, you are a body, without your body, where is your mind?
And it's as if people see it as really separate, like, but my mind is stronger than my body. But you realize they're just part of the same, they're just one system. And then the point is, if you would reduce to just being a mind, that it's amazing, but it's really such a reduction in someone's abilities. Like you said, you noticed this when you were doing the studies. It felt like contracting. And it's really like this, like when someone is in the kind of person that you described, who's very busy and very stressed, and it's actually just like contracting your whole experience to one certain level, like the experience of being stressed, of being busy, of thinking. And you could say, oh, okay, if you're happy with it, it's fine. I would never try to convince someone something else. It would be more from the point of view of, but it could be so much more. Like,
that's
potential could be so much more.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting that you mentioned that, because that's definitely something that that I've seen, and the some of the some of the sessions that I've had with clients and with potential clients is that that their high degree of stress, it almost kind of becomes an expectation, just becomes this like tunnel vision where they've experienced that way of being for such a long time that it's almost as if they can't see themselves being any other way.
Mm-hmm.
And I just find all of that really, I find it a little sad, actually, because you can feel a different way. But I think that when one is just accustomed to being, in particular mental states and physical states over such a long period of time, tunnel vision, the blinders are on, what else can there be?
Yeah. I mean, I think it also has a lot to do with the kind of expectations and importance that come from the surrounding that someone's in. So I feel like if I'm stressed, I'm important. If I'm very busy, I'm somebody. And to teach someone to let go of all of what they do when they're stressed and to allow a different experience,
Mm-hmm.
It means shifting this. It means kind of breaking this perception a bit. It means teaching someone, actually, it could feel really good to allow a different kind of experience.
Yeah.
And this then will challenge someone to
try something different
against the expectation.
Yeah. And so that's something that I'm wondering about is, let's say that you have, someone comes to see you for the first time, and maybe they've had a massage before, maybe they haven't. But how is this different from massage? What can they expect during, say, like, a first session with somebody like you?
So, I mean, one key difference is all this stuff that I said before about attention. That, like, we work through touch, we work with the body, but my aim is not that I do something that fixes someone or that changes someone. Someone comes to me with back pain. I don't want to take their back pain away. What I want to do is use touch to show them what they're doing with this area of their body. So it's all about attention, and it's about learning what someone's doing. So for example, many people, when they feel pain, they don't want to feel it, and they'll ignore it or pretend it's not there, or they'll do something that kind of pulls their attention away from it. Like they'll tense up around it, they'll breathe less, or just hold it still, try not to move in a way that might interfere with it. And all of this is actually as if like locking this area. It's just one example, but you could then with this person use touch to show someone how they're holding this area against the pain, and then teach them to let go and actually feel what's there. And this allows the experience completely to change, but it's that someone learned to do it themselves. So someone could learn the next time when their back pain comes to notice, yeah, because I'm tensing on my back again. If I let go, the pain's less. Like, it's about teaching rather than yeah.
So it's almost like each time they come out of a session with you, they're learning more about how their body works, B, how they are responding to the signals from their body, and helping them to just be a lot more alert, and to take positive action, so that they're being more of a friend to their body, as opposed to just kind of no, I can't, I'm going to ignore what my body's telling me or saying, or or is doing, because I've got some other things to be getting on with.
Yeah, it's like, I guess there's two levels that you could separate in what you just said. Like one is how you react to what you feel in your body. So there's a pain in my body, I'm going to try and ignore it, take a painkiller, drink a coffee, go. And then to teach someone, okay, let's look at this reaction. Let's look at what happens if we don't do it. Let's see how we can work with this differently. So this is one level. And then the other level is really to find out how that pain or how that condition was created in the first place, or how an experience was created in the first place. And then you're looking at, okay, if I create this neck tension and I really go into the experience of what it feels like when I'm tensing this neck, it feels like then you realize it's something that someone's done for many, many years. And you can work with someone on the whole experience that is there. So it could be, for example, it could be someone who went through a certain experience in their life where there was a lot of arguments around them, and this was scary, and they didn't want to be around arguments, so they kept very still and tried not to be seen. And it could be that someone then learned this reaction so well of, okay, when there's arguments, keep well and don't be seen. And then it could be that this becomes something that the body just falls back on. It's like a habit, and then it's popping up all over the place, and maybe it pops up whenever something's a bit stressful. So then what they're actually doing at work in the stressful situation is something that they've learned for a long time. So it can go really deep in this way. You can find that the way that someone is reacting now, you can find that they learned that during their life for particular reasons, like in particular situations, as a kind of a coping strategy. And so then when you teach someone this, it also can take the pressure off a bit. You realize, like, it's true, I've been doing this for many years, and I learned it because I was in this situation and I didn't know how else to deal with it. You kind of don't have to be so hard on yourself for how you're behaving. You just say, okay, I learned it then, but it's not useful anymore. Okay, I can stop this now.
I just found it was just like so interesting when I was doing some preparation, in advance, to prepare myself to chat with you, and they were talking about how they could look at the bottom of a person's feet and do a diagnosis and just kind of get a very clear sense of some of the things that that just kind of can trigger a person, how they're walking, some of the things that that they're keeping bottled up in their body. And I just kind of thought, wow, so the ability to do this kind of this foot diagnosis, I just kind of thought that's pretty cool.
So this goes back to when you asked before, what can someone expect in a first session? So part of it is that it's touch, but it's teaching and it's about attention. And part of it is that in the first session, we have a chat to try and work out like what's relevant for this person, what's the kind of frame that we're working in. And that chat involves me looking at the client's feet and using them as a kind of guideline. First, it's very mysterious. I don't pretend to know why this at all works. But like Avi Grinberg, who established the method, he had worked a lot with reflexology before, so he was experienced with feet. And he just developed this further himself, and this is what we're taught. And it's very curious and it's very interesting. It's almost a bit like a map of the body, so you could see like, all right, this is an area where it's very hard, or you can see certain things, and you can also get clues into almost how a person's living and like the kind of things that they're doing.
Wow.
So
no, because it reminds me. Sorry.
It's much more like a guidepost thing. It's not like I'm going to read the feet and say, now I know. It's like it sends up signs, and I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure there's going to be something on this theme. I want to know about this theme, and so I will talk to my client about this, and then I will find out from them what is what's going on in this aspect of their life, and then we'll work out what the story is. But the feet is like telling me, hey, something's up here.
And so like during that first session, you sit back, chat with the client, you're also, looking at their feet, picking up some additional clues. And so does that then kind of give you a basis in which you're able to sit back and say, oh, okay, I've got a sense that for the particular things that need to be addressed, that most likely it'll take X number of sessions. Is that how it sort of works, or am I off a bit?
It's pretty difficult to estimate the number of sessions, I find, because it depends on a person how much they really want to change, and it can depend on how deep they want to go. If it's just I want to stop my migraines, or if it's I want to realize why they're there and how, and in my childhood and why it came, and depends how deep someone wants to go.
Got you.
Yeah, the first session. Wait, let me backtrack. How was it that you asked it? Right. What I want to come out, what I want to finish the conversation in the first session with, and it will still continue in the other sessions, is quite a clear sense of what we would work on. So I want to have a kind of physical understanding of what's important for this person. Where are the areas? But I want to have quite a clear idea of like a situation in their life that they're not happy with and they want to change. And I want to know what's happening for them in that situation. So it could be becoming stressed. It could be how I avoid confrontation. It could be how I become insecure in my relationship. Many topics. Yeah. And I want to see in this frame, how is the person reacting? What are they thinking? What are they feeling? What are they doing with their body? Like, what's this whole experience? And then when I have this, then I know, okay. And then I have several different things that I know. Okay, I want to teach this. I want to teach someone not to become small and contract their shoulders. I want to teach someone to feel their legs. Or I can come out with different things that I know I want to start with teaching. Yeah. And then this will develop over time as we see like what's more difficult to learn. As we see where things go.
Because, I'm just sitting back just thinking to myself, for someone that, is an actor or is thinking about going into acting, I was just kind of thinking, man, this could just be some really interesting work that you could do with that particular profession. And so I'm just kind of wondering, have you noticed particular professions or particular types of people that have been coming to see you? And have you also noticed that there are particular types of, for lack of a better word, ailments? You mentioned previously, migraines as being something that you've worked on previously. What type of people have you seen?
So the first thing you asked is there some kinds of professions where it's more suitable? In a way, it's like some kinds of people, often who are in some kind of profession, it's like they're a bit more open to it already. So it can be like dancers and actors and singers or musicians. They know they need their body. They use their body. And they're quite used to working with, like, singers do a lot of working with breathing, and actors do all these different exercises. They're kind of used to the idea. If I go into a performance worrying about how I will seem, it's not going to go well. So and they know that they tend to be like already they kind of get it quite quickly.
Right. Okay.
But then it can be that other people get it very quickly as well, and it's very surprising. It can be that I work with an academic and I might have the idea, they're all in their heads, and then it turns out someone learns very fast, and their body learns very fast how to just, I don't need to hold here anymore, and their whole body goes and relaxes, and it's like, okay. So I worked with people in various different professions, and I found the best thing is not to have any expectation based on the profession.
No, I just find that just so interesting, because I thought immediately, I thought, dancers, they seem like they would be a population that would be really open to to doing this particular approach. And I'm just sitting back and thinking to myself, for people like freelancers, people that work for themselves, what if I was in your position, what would I say to help them to recognize that this could be an approach that could actually not just benefit them, personally, but could also benefit literally their personal business.
To saying this to who?
Oh, to people that work for themselves. A freelancer, someone that's thinking about starting up their own business. People that just generally, work for their, on their own. They might be, an illustrator. They might be, they might be a consultant, something like that.
Yeah. So you could say those kind of professions that you're talking about, in a way, it involves a lot of fear. Not doing something, going out on your own, doing many new things, presenting yourself to people, setting yourself new challenges, having the possibility you might fail. All of these things come with fear, actually. And
that's a really good point.
Fear is kind of like at the core of any Grinberg method process, because normally the ways that we've developed, that we're reacting, all these different habits that we can do, normally it's at the end of the day, like it might not have even seemed like it, but normally at the end of the day, it was because we were afraid in some way and we didn't know how to deal with that. So we tried to kind of not be. We tried to, no, I'm fine. Or like, and so a lot of what the Grinberg method does is try to teach people not to react to fear, actually to allow it to be there. Sounds almost abstract, but if I give an example, say someone who's starting their own business and wants to make a website that's going to really present them to the world. And this comes with presenting me to the world, and might be dreams, and people will see it and maybe they'll think I'm stupid. And this actually brings a kind of excitement, a kind of energy if you breathe. But it could go the other way. It could be like, oh no, I don't want anyone to see. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll go to the pub. And like you said in the beginning. And so actually to teach someone instead of doing whatever they're doing to block this, like procrastinating or becoming tense or just feeling very stressed, to actually allow some of this experience, that it's possible that other people will think that they're stupid, that it's possible that they'll fail, and still to do it anyway, and still to breathe, and still to relax. So this is actually like a really big theme within all of the teaching that we do. So this, I would say, this is a strong reason why for people setting up their own business. I have a few clients who are going their own way, and this is what we work with.
That's really, really, I mean, wow. Because, you hit the nail on the head, because, most of the people that I speak to, most of the people that I work with, there's always fear on some level, always. And it's how that fear is used. It's how that fear is perceived. Fear as a friend, fear as a form of excitement, fear as this kind of gentle, I was about to use the word competition, but I'm not. Fear as this kind of like this partner that you can dance with.
Yeah, this is a nice way to describe it.
But just remembering that you can choose how to dance with your fear, and that maybe that fear can give you some valuable information.
Right. This is a great point, because often it's seen as like a really negative thing. Like we built up human society built up a way of living that keeps us safe. We built, settlements and street lighting and keeping the wild animals out. If you really go to the basics,
absolutely,
we don't find it comfortable to be afraid. So we try to limit this, but and it's almost has this association of like it's weakness, or you should overcome fear. What can I do to conquer my fear? And it's really funny because it's really missing the point. And this is why it's so great what you said, like that fear can act as like an indicator of something, because it could be, it could just show you, I really want this project to work. I really love what I'm doing. And so of course I'm afraid that it will fail. If I wasn't afraid, it would mean that I didn't care about it. Then who gives a damn? So all it does is it shows that I care. Oh, and then this is suddenly like a completely different view. And then
totally,
it actually makes the experience very intense, and you realize I really want this to work, and that's just an intense experience. So again, to go back to the question of how it would benefit people who work on their own, then it can make the whole process of working on your own much more rich, much more exciting, like just much more intense, rather than trying to no, it's all fine, I'll keep it cool.
But I think also giving a person very valuable tools from the outset, because I think so often people either they start their own thing, and then it's not until they've been doing it for 3 to 5 years that, oh, wow, if somebody would have just, given me these tools earlier on, I would have enjoyed working for myself, a lot more. If they could have, some tools from the outset that can sort of like, they can educate themselves. Well, actually what we're talking about is actually re-educating themselves.
Yeah.
As they go through a potentially challenging process, because, working for yourself, doing your own thing, it is challenging. It is full of, fear and apprehension. But I think that's one of the most valuable lessons that you can get out of doing something on your own is you learn more about yourself, and you learn more about your own triggers, and you learn more about, oh, well, how can I manage this better the next time around? But maybe if you have, a set of tools and, an input that you can keep referring back to that helps you to know how you're feeling and how you're doing in your body, which then translates to how you're feeling and doing in your business, that sounds like a win-win situation to me.
Yeah.
Cool beans. So I want to know more about, you've been undergoing this training, and you seem like you're kind of a different person from the academic type that you used to be. What have been some of the ways in which you've noticed that the Grinberg method has changed you as a person?
Many ways. So you could call it like I've worked on kind of different themes. You always work on what's really interesting to you at the time. This is the most likely for it to work, because there's the most motivation involved. So I used to be a lot more awkward with people, like essentially a lot more introverted and kind of closed and a bit hard and trying to be tough, and I'm fine, and I'm not saying I'm past this, but I know this whole battlefield very well now. And it's changed a lot, and the way that I can be close to people, the way that I can interact with people is just very different now. And I know that it has further to go. So it's like, this is also interesting. It's like being on a journey, and also a lot of things to do with becoming also an independent business person myself. It's also involved a lot of fear.
So in some ways, you've been undergoing the training, which has helped you to undergo the training of working for
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, I mean, the whole, like, it's actually even a requirement of doing the training that you're in a, we call it like a learning process, that you're in a learning process yourself. And so I had been for maybe 6 months or so before I started the training. I'd been working in this and very, very fascinated with it. And then the reason to continue it whilst you're doing the training is because if I want to teach other people to be more of a body, I have to have this desire in myself. And if I want to teach people that they can continually learn and continually become more of their potential, I have to have this desire in myself, that I don't just stop and say, yeah, I'm good now. But that I say, like, no, it's I can see things are different from before, but I can still see whenever it might be an argument, I'm tending to just shut down. I'm still doing that, so I'm not stopping till that's finished. And then after that, there'll be another goal. And
yeah. That's really. I think you've got someone that that could be. I think I'm being swayed to to the method.
I wanted to go back to. I realized sure. I didn't fully answer your question before. You asked are there some common things that people come with. So sorry, I'm keeping notes.
Thank you.
It's the old academic training. It's can be an amazing variety of things, but I would say there's some themes physically and some themes in, how would you call it, thought style, something that come up. So, I don't know if I could even say there's themes physically, but I've worked with people with migraines, with a lot of people who can feel tension in their neck or pain in their neck, and then with backs, with backs, and sometimes with skin conditions. It's interesting that you can influence skin conditions as well. I guess those are some of the most common things, and different things to do with the belly. But it tends to be that many people have something going on with their belly, but it tends to be that people notice these kinds of things first. It's like our attention's kind of up here, and they notice the headaches and the shoulder tension first, and then it's later that they realize, oh, I'm constantly contracting my belly. Oh, if I let it go, it feels really different. Oh, sometimes it's as if we'll get to that later.
No,
then like kind of common things that people are doing. Like it seems like many people are like trying to do the right thing and are very afraid of doing something wrong or doing a mistake. But really, the feeling of I did something wrong often runs quite deep in someone, or like. Often it can be trying to be liked, or like a feeling of needing to do something. I guess this goes towards what you described with people who tend to be stressed. Like even if there's nothing to do, but I need to do, and it's almost as if they're being a bit wired and not being able to settle down.
Yeah, doing versus just being.
Yeah, just being, that's something that we forgot a bit.
We forgot really about great. A lot.
Yeah.
We forgot a lot about that. And this is something that I struggle with. Yeah, I'm getting there. But I mean, I just think it's just been so interesting, because I think it wasn't until like maybe a year and a half ago that I sort of like recognized the extent to which I really do live, up here. And I've been, mostly for myself. But if it helps other people, great. But this separation, and what are some things that I can do every single day in terms of working with my body, in terms of inhabiting my body, in terms of paying attention to my body, and being responsive. There's all kinds of different approaches and methods, but it's been really groovy to learn more from an actual Grinberg practitioner. Thank you so much for that. I do have a gratuitous film-related question. Do you watch films? Do you like films?
I hardly ever used to watch films at all because I just played a slightly ridiculous amount of sport during my life. But the last couple of years, I've watched a lot more.
Yeah.
But I still, for me, it's still like the teenage film that I really loved, which was Pulp Fiction. To me, it's still just the best film of all time. No, I said the wrong one. Somehow the two always come together in my head because as teenagers, me and my siblings watched a lot Pulp Fiction and Wayne's World. But Wayne's World.
Party time, excellent.
It's also great, but Wayne's World, I love it. It's very silly, but I love it.
Yeah. So is that sort of like your go-to feel-good movie?
I haven't watched it in years, actually. I could watch it again.
Well, I mean, you could watch it again and just kind of see in what ways Wayne and Garth sort of like, are in touch with their body.
I mean, it's very interesting watching films now, having worked, because what we do is so much. I'm trying to teach my client to pay attention. It means what I have to learn as a practitioner is to be able to pay attention. So I want to be able to perceive my client and to perceive exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
So then it becomes very interesting when you watch a film and you can kind of read what someone's doing and how they create being mad and then it's really interesting.
Exactly. I mean, I just find this whole thing really interesting, and there are some other people that I know who also are very focused on the body and how the body works and the ways in which people do or don't pay attention to their bodies. And so I think at some point in the future I'm going to have some sort of body summit,
cool.
And just kind of get people together virtually to talk about to talk about the things that we don't talk about, which is the body. And
what would be amazing is to have it not virtual but real, and to be able to, different people could give talks and then could really give sessions, and then then I get to find out what is this other method, and I can show someone what my method is, and then we can discuss this would be really cool.
Do this could be really cool. My thinking cap is already on, because I'm already thinking of a way in which this can be a teaching opportunity and perhaps even a performative opportunity as well. So, yes, we will have to talk more about this, because you're going to be in London soon, but I'm presuming that you're also going to be coming back and forth to London to spread more of the Grinberg goodness.
Yeah, I'm there in June. Quite soon, in like 2 weeks, I'll be there, and then in the middle of July, and then around the beginning of September.
Cool. I'll make a point of sharing the dates in June and July, the July dates when you get them over to me. But in the meantime, super duper thank you for taking time out to give me a bit of an education and to give other folks a bit of an education as well. I wish you all the best.
I hope I've explained it in a way where it will give some kind of idea of what it is.
Well, yeah, I think that you have. We've touched on some pretty important topics, so very,
and
very,
you're
very exciting.
To come and try a session when I'm there.
Thank you.
Be a favor for the interview.